Ladies and gentlemen, the American German Bulldog Nation, you've heard me speak about the trial scheduling issue with the Durrani victims. And I want to use my whiteboard, it's been a while, and explain this issue to you. And it should shock you, it should anger you, it should blow you away. What I'm about ready to cover with you is what I protested and went to jail for. And this is the most egregious injustice I have ever heard of to a large group of people in American law. Somebody going to jail that's innocent and serving a long prison sentence is probably the worst individual thing that can befall someone. But as a collective group, I can tell you that the victims in Dr. Death, Civil Jury, Aaron Brockovich, and Dark Waters haven't endured this. All right. So the Durrani victims come to me en masse in 2013. And we immediately start filing these lawsuits. Now, we filed a bunch of them in Hamilton County. We filed a bunch of them in Butler County. I don't want to get into the weeds of that. In 2015, we dismissed all the cases. There was hundreds of cases in Butler County and refiled them in 2015 and 2016 in Hamilton County. Now, there were total 528 cases. Now, some of these cases got dismissed, so forth and so on. Now, we did not get to, up until this point, I tried one case in 2013, and we tried 4 cases in Butler County, one at a time. So up to this time, only 5 cases have gone to trial. Judge Ruhlman in 2015, December of 2015, and one piece of time, part of time, had all the cases, and he scheduled them in large groups, and they would all be over by 2017. This is what should have been done. Ruhlman got it right. The morning of a mediation, Justice O'Connor removed him from the cases and scattered these cases in 2016 to the 14 common plea judges. We accepted that. We're like, okay, fine. We now have 14 judges handling these cases instead of just one, right? Well, what she then did is she consolidated them all with Judge Schweikert. He's the guy that threw me in jail. Judge Schweikert got some retired judges to help him try the cases. He did not try a case until 2018. 2018. One at a time. He refused group trials. Meanwhile, Judge Barrett in federal court, over the course of 2018, 2019, 2020, tried 10 cases. So Judge Barrett has tried 10 cases. They're concluded. So, Schweikert finally gets kicked off, and Judge Reese takes over around 2019. And then we got 2020, we got COVID, which delayed the trials for about a year and a half. Judge Reese, unlike Judge Schweikert, is trying these cases 2 at a time and 3 at a time, doing the best he can. So here we are now in 2024. We've tried about 110 trials. Based upon where cases are in some type of an appeal process or whatever, we have hundreds of more cases that got to go to trial. Hundreds. Okay? So we are in the 11th year of this litigation. 11 years. Now some punchlines for you. There is an Ohio Supreme Court rule that says any case has to be completed from the time it begins to the end in 3 years. It's called Ohio Rules of Superintendents. Maureen O'Connor, the former Chief Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court, and the current Chief Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court, Sharon Kennedy, both just ignored that rule. We filed a federal cause of action in Judge Barrett's court, and Judge Barrett said he couldn't do anything. Are you kidding me? You guys are going to love this. The Sixth Amendment gives an individual a speedy trial in a criminal case. The Seventh Amendment is silent as to that. Seventh Amendment is a civil case. We argued that based upon the Ohio Rules of Superintendent, are you kidding me? They can't let this happen. Now, how egregious is this? What does this mean? Here's what this means. That anybody who filed a lawsuit in Hamilton County or Butler County in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 20. Guess what the status of their case is? With few exceptions. There's some outliers, there's a few exceptions. Their cases are over with. They're over with. So, this is the plight of the Durrani victims. The Ohio court system, which, by the way, Court of Appeals, Supreme Court, is controlled politically by the large law firms like Dinsmore, who represent our opponents. They are basically saying to Deters Law, Drake Law, me, the victims, they're saying, because there's so many of you that are harmed, and there's so many of you that have a case, we're sorry. We're sorry. Can you imagine how that makes the Durrani victims feel? And by the way, unlike so many cases that are all bullshit, we are winning 80% of these when you're supposed to lose 95% of the time when you go to trial in a mid-mouth case. So these are cases of great merit. Jury after jury's awarding $1 million to them. So just imagine that. Now, this is the first time I'm going to be sharing this with some of these Durrani victims because I just learned it. Apparently, Judge Reese, in scheduling these cases, is limiting the cases that are going to trial, only have 2 or 3 surgeries at the most, because the time frame that it takes for an expert in the lawyers to cover the number of surgeries. Now, on one hand, I get that. At least he's giving us group trials. On the other hand, what the Ohio court system is now saying to the Durrani victims is this. If you had more than 3 surgeries, you got to wait till the very end of the line. What the hell? How is that right? And what's wild about this is Medical Protective. $40 million in coverage, which is at least 528. There's like 400 that are under that policy. Is only $100,000 per victim. And they've never offered it. Their highest offer was $11 million. And those of you that think that I'm some kind of crazy guy, the reason why the Durrani victims and I are like this is because unlike what other lawyers would have done, as their victim's advocate who finances this, I refuse to cave in to this system, the Ohio court system, and Medical Protective. And in a way, Ohio court system is a co-conspirator with the Durrani defense attorneys. They love this. One of the reasons why I unleashed on Judge Barrett is Judge Barrett has these people's claim against Medical Protective for fraud that has nothing to do with this. It has to do with independent fraud of this. And he could set that for trial. And that, we'll see what Medical Protective does when we score $1 billion verdict against them. This is outrageous. I want to close with this. What is the solution, you might ask? I always tell my staff, Desi, who's videotaping this, will chuckle at this, everybody's staff, I always say to my staff, my family, you got to be a Marine. You got to figure it out. If I didn't have like a Marine's mentality of, I could never do this. So when Judge Ruhlman was going to have these massive group trials, and Joe Deters at the time was still on our team, Joe and I were talking about how we would get Hamilton County to find some space somewhere in the county that's not being used and set up a temporary courtroom that would be available at all times for just the Durrani trials. Now, they designated one courtroom over there in Hamilton County that Judge Reese uses. But what you do is you say, hey, this is a special problem, let's adapt. The Ohio court system doesn't do anything. If I was a Chief Justice, I would appoint one judge. I would say, you try them in large groups, figure it out. I mean large groups. You got to try 100 cases at once and spend a whole year trying 100 cases, do it. Pick one jury, one closing, one opening, you do it. Now, during COVID, the same thing could have been done. They could have set aside a courtroom somewhere, made sure, everybody's wearing a mask, doing whatever, and continue. Instead, they just shut the courts down for a year. No trials for a year. There's no mentality at all. And by the way, group trials are allowed. Are allowed. The reason why I went to jail is Judge Schweikert was trying these cases one at a time. It would take 40 years. Now, 11 years, even with trying the group trials that we're doing now, it looks like 20 years. 100 of these people, 20% of them have died. This is the most diabolical, sick freaking thing I have ever known in law. The tri-state media ignores this. The Ohio court system ignores this. The national media ignores this. So that's what we got. I should not be mad. And what they do, what the Ohio court system, the Kentucky court system, the Durrani defense attorneys, they all try to make me the issue instead of that. Like, what the hell do I got to do with this? And the reason why they hate me and make me the issue is because I'm the only person who's raising hell about this. The only person who's financing. The only person that won't quit. You can't make this up. Last night, a former friend and supporter of mine gave me a hard time about that I should completely focus on Durrani, not do anything else, and not make the Durrani litigation about me. It's about them. And I ripped them. I said, you have no clue. I said, it's about the Durrani victims. My role, where it's about me, is everything I do every single day trying to get these people fair justice. And I keep saying this, and I'm sure some of the enemy just chuckles. Can you imagine when this is put into a movie, a documentary, a television series, what all of America is going to think about O'Connor, Kennedy, the Ohio court system, these defense lawyers, Medical Protective, Judge Barrett, All of them. Can you imagine? What any person would think about this? This is what I fight for every day. Thank you.